Tēnā koutou katoa, nā mihi nui kia koutou, ko Waiau, ko takitimu te maunga, ko apirima te awa, ko takitimu te waka, ko kaitahu te iwi, ko taku tai o titi te marae, ko Bates o te whānau whānui, ko Catherine Savage tōku ingoa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Gosh, there's a hard act to follow. It's a pleasure to be here, actually, and probably I think will be one of the, hopefully I can get my nerves under control and do a good job, Helen, in response to the invitation to come. We've been lucky enough to be evaluating the Whanau Enterprise initiatives for the past 4 years, and this is the first time that we've spoken at a symposium. So there's a lot of weight on my shoulders, and I hope I do you all justice as I move forward. I wanted to tell my own gangster story, pretty gangster. So my whakapapa is to the Bates whānau that Oraka Apirima or Colac Bay. Nathaniel Bates had 3 partners, the last 2 he lived with. Hey, Uncle Terry, you're having a laugh, at the same time. He managed to have 32 children, not 38, so Eugene beats me on that one. And the youngest of his children was my great-grandmother, Violet Williamson, she became known as. But his Nathaniel Bates' background is actually steeped in gangster history because his father in London got arrested for stealing 2 left boots. He was put in prison at the age of 15. He was put in prison for a year and shipped out to Australia, to Sydney, on the Second Fleet, which was on the old slave ships. So he was on a particular ship called the Neptune, where I think only 40% of the cargo, being the criminals, actually survived. So he was in Sydney very, very early on. He did his time, came out, went into the army, served his time, got given a piece of land in Darling Harbour in Sydney. I know, right? Where the Westpac Bank now stands. He decided to sell that. And his sons were dispersed and his daughters throughout Australia. So actually the Bates whānau is a name that is sort of transverses both New Zealand and Australia. I like to say that my whānau are not very bright, but we've got incredible tenacity. So the fact that he managed to survive under such adverse conditions tells you something about our whakapapa. I was brought up in Waital, so although I was born in Mirihaku, I went to Waital when I was about 2 years old and spent the next 28 years there. It's very close to my heart, and it's a place that I go back to regularly. My parents still live there for a wee while longer, and it means a lot to me. You can see in this photo here, I'm the one with the yellow hat, sort of not looking very amused in my school photo. Auntie Sally, that's Suzanne, your niece in that photo, eating a banana. And this is my mother, who's like the ultimate camp mother and went to every single camp, which I really hated, but she is the ultimate mother. So this is my moko kapua, who is 18 months old and really the light of our lives. So that's a bit of my backstory, so you know who I am and where I come from today and what I'm going to talk about. This is Ihi Research. Present my company to you. So my partner John, he's the handsome one, not Hemi. John. Hemi's handsome, but I think, and Larissa, Letitia, and for those of you that are navigators, Wendy, who if she hasn't hunted you down over the past 3 days, she's still got your number and looking for you. So this is our company, and together we work on different sorts of research projects across the motu, really, to do with lots of different things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do and how we do it. The main focus of what I want to talk about today is Whanau Commissioning. And I want to talk about what we've learned over the period of evaluating Whanau Commissioning and what we can share with others. The first thing I want to say is this is an incredibly innovative approach to whānau ora. And I really want to mihi to the iwi, I want to mihi to Whaia Tariana, to Helen, and to the governance board for actually believing that whānau have the solutions. This is not like this in the North Island. This is not the experience of the commissioning agency in the North Island. This is uniquely Te Waipounamu and uniquely iwi-led. it took an epic amount of courage to say, actually, whānau have the answer. An epic amount of courage to say, we want to be innovative and we want to directly fund whānau. For us now, it's sort of a way of life. We listen to all these amazing initiatives, we listen to people talk about the different things they've done, but never forget that this was an incredible approach to take to whānau ora. So for all the people that are out there that have been recipients of these whānau initiatives, you know, first of all, what a blessing it is to have that opportunity, and then secondly, what a responsibility it is to become part of the whānau ora social movement that has occurred in Te Waipounamu. What I want to say about the model is that it's emancipatory. Now, that's a word that we haven't used for a lot of years, and people tend to use that when they talk about slavery and things like that. But what it means, emancipation, the definition is the ability to start making decisions for your own life, to rise above whatever it is that's kept you down or is oppressing you, and to have that determination over your own life. And that's what happens through Whanau Commissioning. So we refer to it as emancipatory. It's intensely political. And people are sitting there saying, oh, I'm not really into politics. But it is intensely political. It's political because what you do tells the government what the solutions are. It sends a message to the government around what whānau need, what whānau want, and how they see the solutions to their own issues. So it is intensely political. The government is kind of counting, the government in general, society counts on us being disengaged from politics. If you're part of whānau ora, you're engaged, because this is a political movement and this is a political activity to actually be engaged in your own solutions. It's highly contextual. The solutions that you have are so different, and that's the beauty of it, is everywhere we go to and every different person we talk to, they've come up with a different solution to their issues. So the beauty of it is actually how contextualised it is. We want it to be sustainable. This is not a one-off piece of funding and we hope that nothing changes. The hope of this, and the hope from Whaia Tariana and Helen and the governance board and the iwi, is that this is the start of a movement that becomes sustainable, that feeds whānau enterprise, that feeds business, that feeds solutions. We know that it's incredibly good value for investment. So lots of people will say, oh, giving money to whānau, how can that be a good idea? What we know is it is a good idea, that the return on investment is high and that the value is there. But we also know that it's an incredible responsibility for those that are given the opportunity to assert their rangatiratanga and come up with their own solution. So what I want to talk today about is what makes a successful initiative. What do you need to do in order to be highly successful through this whānau commissioning? And I'm going to talk about our company a little bit. The reason I'm doing that, one of the problems of being a researcher is I can't talk about people unless I ask you, so I'd have to go, hey, Janice, is it all right if I talk about koha kai? Is it all right if I grace whānau, if I talk about grace training, and so on? So I'm going to talk a little bit about our company and how this has been realised in our company. We are a product of whānau ora just as much as the whānau commissioning initiatives are. We were a very small business doing pretty small stuff until Helen, I like to call it the investment of faith, gave us the opportunity to evaluate the first round of whānau commissioning. Since that, we've done 7 waves of commissioning and our business has been able to grow as a result. So what do we know? What do you need to do? If you're thinking of becoming a whānau enterprise initiative, what is it that you need to know? Firstly, you have to be very clear about what your purpose is and what your vision for change is. You need to know where you're going. What is the issue that you're trying to solve and how are you trying to get there? So this is your aspiration. Most often we love writing this because we love saying, you know, I want to save the world and save the rangatahi and save the kaumātua and I'd like to save the whenua. Actually, the more specific you are, you don't have to solve the world, you have to solve your issue. So be specific about what is it that I need to do. For me, I wanted to change the nature of research. That's pretty big. I wanted to say, hey, research doesn't have to be done in the universities. I've got a good history of being in a university. Research can be done with communities, and it can be done with people in communities. It doesn't have to be a top-down experience. We can learn through research. I can do this. That was my aspiration. So you can see our byline is research, social change and innovation. It has a purpose and it has a meaning, and that's what we wanted to do with our company. You have to make sure that your vision and purpose has clarity. When I used to be an academic, I used to say to people, what are you doing for your PhD? And then they'd start. And I'd go, you don't actually know what you're doing. The key to someone doing a really great master's or a PhD is the 2 sentences that they give me about what they're actually studying. So when I come to your whānau enterprise and I say, what are you doing? The clarity of your purpose is in that sentence. What is it that you're doing? What is the solution that you've got to the issue that you've identified? Be clear about that. Leadership. Your initiative is going to have great leadership. And you will know that Whanau Ora has really raised up the leaders across Te Waipanamu. You know this because we have, do we have a Southlander of the Year? We have a Community Leader of the Year. We have an Environmental Leader of the Year. We have nominations for New Zealander of the Year. We have community leaders across New Zealand that have come about because they are leading these initiatives. And you've heard from some of these leaders while you've been here today. They have to be knowledgeable and passionate about their change, and they have to be champions of what they do. They have to be visible, and they have to be an advocate. That sounds easy. That's actually really hard. I have to do that for my company. I really struggle with this. I struggle with this because I know you're all sitting there going, no, you don't. Look, you're fine. Actually, I was freaking out before I get up here. I find public speaking really puts me off. I'd like to say I was shitting myself, but I literally was because I've got the tummy bug. But anyway, I find being in leadership incredibly challenging. The reason that I find it so hard is how I was brought up. So my whānau loved me, but you never put your head up in my family. In fact, my dad would have said to me, oh, look at you. He used to say to me, Caesar was ambitious and look where that got him. I remember another speaker talking about advice from their father, and my father had plenty of advice. But his main advice was don't show yourself off, don't be a show-off, don't stand up in front of people. Just get on with the work, do the mahi. My father's incredibly hardworking. What mattered to him most was that I worked hard. He didn't need me to be a leader of anything. But in order to do the work I want to do, I have to stand up and be a leader. And it has been really hard. In another job that I had, someone said to me, everything you do to whakamana yourself. And it was at a time in my life when I was actually having quite a few personal struggles anyway. And that one comment took me down and took me out for about 2 years. So if there's one thing you take away from today, it's actually to whakamana the leaders that have stood up for Whanau Ora, and to whakamana the leaders that are out there doing it and doing it in a really difficult situation. So they're probably taking enough flack. The best thing we can do for our Whanau Ora leaders is to support them to be in that role and to be in that position. If you're someone who feels uncomfortable about it and you're thinking, I won't be a leader, you've got to. You have to push yourself forward, and you have to show that what you've got is worth investing in. The psychologist in me, I was a psychologist, tells me that in the first 5 seconds someone meets me, they're looking for confidence. If I don't give it to them, they will not invest in me. If I go to have a meeting about a research proposal, within the first 5 seconds that person's probably decided whether they're going to invest in me or not. It is crucially important that I have confidence in myself and can show those leadership skills. So if it's something you struggle with, just put yourself up there and come on stage and work on it all the time, because I'm kind of doing that myself. And for the rest of us, let's support our tall poppies so they have a garden to grow in. Learn fast. People talk about innovation and they say, fail fast, fail fast. Actually, failure is not an option. It's not an option for whānau, and it's not an option for Whanau Ora. So it's a learn fast situation. If you've started something and the feedback is telling you, oh, geez, I need to do something different, adapt, change. Don't be so fixed in your viewpoint that you can't learn. You can't learn from the people that you're there to serve. So make sure that you are learning and find out what you need to know. For John and I, John was a school principal and I had been an academic. I had to learn about business. I had to learn about GST. I had to learn about budgeting. I had to learn about looking ahead and having forecasts. I had to learn about tax. That was all new for me. I had to learn about growth and how to grow in a way that was safe, but also enabled our company to make these steps towards growth, to have 6 people. For us, we've had a mentor. Matt's sitting in here. So Matt's been our business mentor. I think he may have mentored some of you as well. To have a third party to say, I was thinking this. And he doesn't say you're right or wrong. He says, oh, you could think about that and you could think about this as well. So I have had to be on a continual process to learn with John. Now that he's here, I'd like to say John's actually the boss of our business because I'm really good at great ideas and new things. I'm terrible at staff and they can have whatever they want. Hear me, you can have whatever you want. John, however, is the boss. So 25 years of being a principal, he's the boss, I'm the one with the ideas. Networking. Crucially important to your enterprise. I like to call this the hive. So if we think about it as a beehive and we think about Whanau Commissioning as beehive, we should be networking with each other as often as we can and as many times as we can. Whenever I'm talking somewhere, and I was in Whanau on Monday talking about Whanau Commissioning, I was talking about Hei Whakapiki Mauri, I'm talking about Koha Kai, I'm talking about Bros for Change. I'm like, these are these things that are already set up that are doing what you're thinking. We need to be networking with one another and putting each other forward wherever possible that we can. It's about creating this networked community that we're not competitive, we're collaborative and we work together for the advantage of everybody that's involved in the hive. I like the idea of the bee, this sort of like spreading out and going and pollinating everyone with ideas and coming back. So if you've been in Whanau Commissioning for some time, you're an entity that's been here for a couple of years, you've learnt a lot and you've got a lot to share with people that are starting out. So whenever you can, share what you've learnt. Help them learn fast, not fail. I like to call this one the hustle. This is my bit. I'm the hustle. I'm the leader of the hustle. So this is where you have to be actively engaged in hustling. That's what I do. We are working on work now. I am hustling work for September, October, November. That's how my life rolls. I don't let it roll out and go, well, we'll see what happens in November. It's not a possibility. I have my diverse sources of funding. Since we had the Whanau Water funding, we've worked for the Asian New Zealand Foundation, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Rata Foundation, thanks Steve, Ministry of Justice, Te Runanga o Ngā Mātā Waka, the ISR, Pacific Rugby, John loved that one. So we've had these diverse opportunities from a number of different organisations. That is the key to our success and our future. If we put all our eggs in the Whanau Water basket, and I love Whanau Water and I hope you're here post-2020, but if the decisions are different, our business will go under. I have to have a plan B and I have to make sure that I have spread my risk across as many funders as I can. I have to understand what my funders' aspirations are. Yes, I have my kaupapa, I know what I want to do, but if I don't know what Rata wants to achieve, or I don't know what the Asian New Zealand Foundation wants to achieve, or I don't understand the Ministry of Justice, I won't be in business. I have to understand what they're trying to achieve and make sure that I align with their vision as much as what I have my own vision. Demonstrate your impact. Oh, this is important. See, I put a photo of myself. That was actually a very bold move for me. Talking about a piece of research. This is probably the piece that has become most evident to me as I have been working in Whanau Water, is if you're engaged in any sort of commissioning, you have to be able to know what impact you're having and what value you add. Funders will fund you when they have evidence that what you're doing makes a difference, that what you do matters. You have to know how important you are and you have to know that you're effective. And that goes right back to your purpose. having evidence is something that you can have someone like us come in and help you do that, and you can do that yourself. You can do that in your networked community. You can do that through the reporting that you have, but you have to be able to have an impact story, and you have to show that what you do matters. Whether that's selling honey as part of a commercial business, whether it's supporting whānau with disabilities, whether it's koha kai and lunch in schools. You have to be able to demonstrate that this actually matters. There's a need for it, and there's a reason that we exist. This is I was saying to Hori and Mads, wait till you see my diagram, you're going to die. The reason that my diagram looks like that is that I came up with that at 10 o'clock this morning. I didn't have time for any of those boys to make it look flash. Unfortunately, I still have the technology skills of someone born in the 1970s. So I could have done that, but I'll probably still be at home making the diagram. So I had to just write that down, take a photo of it and upload it. I like to call that agility and innovation. So the purpose of my diagram is that these things don't operate in isolation. These things serve to support each other, and they're there as a whole package. So you might be sitting there now thinking, hey, I'm a really good leader and I know how to hustle, but I haven't learnt much and I don't really know what I'm doing. You actually need to have all these elements working for you. I've used the B, which I'm quite stoked I used, because who heard Dave from Ngāti Kuia? He was pretty epic. Yeah, I wish I'd had his bee pictures. So, the purpose might be, and in this person I put, to make honey. But you have to be clear about that purpose. If you're a leader and you're standing on the stage and you're not clear about what your purpose is, then your leadership suffers. So be clear about what your purpose is and what difference you'll make. Leaders need to learn. You have to learn as a leader. And we have, over the last 5 years, made some interesting decisions, which I've then had to backpedal on and go, oh, not a good decision. Off we go this way. That's feedback. That's learning. That happens to everyone. That's not failure. That's actually picking up, learning and changing. So that's the agility. Change my purpose. Maybe that's not actually what I'm here to do. Maybe I'm learning something else about what people need from me as an organisation or need from our enterprise. I like to call this the hive, or the bees in the hive. We're all working away. At the moment, are we working in the same hive? In theory we are, but we need to be working in that same hive and pollinating each other's ideas and supporting each other with the learnings that we've had. That directly relates to that hustle, using networks. I'm going to tell you a story about the hustle that came about. We work in the office of Te Pūtahitanga. We're lucky enough to sit next to the very cool Maui studios in Ariki Creative Boys. We're the geeky people to the side. Behind us sits Aidan Clark, who is the CEO of the Pacific Rugby Players Association. There's two great things about Aidan. The first thing is that he comes from Wairoa. The second thing is that he's a hustler. So Aidan most often is not at his desk because he's somewhere around the world doing something, or he's at the cafe that he's bought in Napier, or he's hustling something else. Aidan's an incredible hustler, but he also has Wairoa code. He's brought up in Wairoa. Him and I get each other. So he says to me, hey, we've had this project funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Needs an evaluation. Do you reckon you can evaluate it? Sure, we'll go to Fiji. So John and I go to Fiji. We actually happened to be there the same weekend that Megan and Harry were. I was bouncing up and down in the back. So we stayed in the same hotel. John got to interview all these flash rugby players, of which I didn't know any of them. But if you've been to Fiji, being a rugby player is like being worshipped. You're a hero. So we had this amazing opportunity to evaluate this program that looked at improving the financial literacy of young Fijian players who were going to go professional. We came back, we did the report, we finished the mahi. He said, hey, you know what, Manu Samoa just finishing their tour. We do a survey. We like to have good evidence about what happened on that rugby tour. I tell you what, if you do this one for free, I'll see if I can hook you up. So he's a hustler. He wasn't going to pay us for it. So we say, sure, I'd love to do the Manu Samoa tour. John would have probably paid him to do it anyway. So we did the survey of Manu Samoa's tour of Europe. And from that, we presented it beautifully to the Pacific Rugby Players Association. He took our report and had it at the World Rugby and said, look, this is what we know about our tour. People at the World Rugby said, that's pretty cool research. Who did that for you? Aidan, being a hustler and having code, says, these people from Christchurch, he research. He rings up John and says, bro, I've just told World Rugby that you can do this massive survey. So when they ring up, just go, yeah, we can do that. He goes, they're a little bit worried about your capability. So, give them a solution. World Rugby actually ring and say, World Rugby Cup is happening. John was like, I'm going to Tokyo. We'd like a survey. I'm not going to Tokyo. We'd like a survey, and we'd like to survey all our Tier 2 nations that are coming to the Rugby World Cup. We'd like to know about their performance when they're in camp, and we'd like to know about their experiences of while they're actually playing rugby. We're like, sure, we can do that. 460, no problem, we can do that. We need to translate that? No problem, we've got it. So, as a result of Aidan hustling and us hustling, we are now doing a survey for World Rugby, which is pretty epic. I know, yay! The funny thing was the guy that's commissioning it said to us on Skype, I work in high performance sport, I don't know much about rugby. John goes, don't worry, bro, I've been preparing for this role for my whole life. So I think John has watched every All Blacks game since he was 5. So sometimes I walk in the living room and he's watching a game. I'm like, I didn't know the All Blacks were playing Scotland. He said, well, they did in 1985. He likes to watch reruns of rugby. Anyway, this is a great opportunity for us as a company, and it involved networking, it involved the hive, it involved a bit of leadership, it involved a bit of hustle, and it's definitely going to involve us learning from this experience. So you can see that you can't do this in isolation. You need to have them all working together. That impact story is a crucial part. It might be the thing that we like to leave to the end and think, I'm going to worry about that when I get to the end of my enterprise initiative. Actually, you need to be worrying about that all the way along. You need to show people what your honey is. Tell them what it is that you do. Let them know about how effective you are. With that, you want to build knowledge. And then you want to share that knowledge with your hive. So all those people in the hive are learning from you and learning from your experiences. So that was my kōrero today, a little bit about what we're all doing and what we really need to focus on in terms of those success factors. We're working with Te Pūtahitanga at the moment to develop this into a sustainability and support pack for Wave 9, so it will become more familiar. This has come from us learning from all of you initiatives. This has never been done before in New Zealand, so if you're going, I was Wave 2, I never got that. That's because you were so new and so innovative, we were learning from you. So as a result, this is what we've learnt and this is what we'll be sharing to the future. Nā reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou tātou.